Good afternoon, everyone. Give everybody about another minute here, and then we'll get started. So if you haven't grabbed your drink, go ahead and do so. All right, let's get started. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on Thirsty Thursday. I hope everybody has a drink. Cheers to all of you. My name is Melinda Aiken. I am the marketing manager here at SiteSeeker, also an account manager. And I have with me today my colleague Devon Huffman, who is a digital marketing specialist here and I would say, what would you call yourself, Devon? A beer connoisseur. So Devon's going to talk to us today about marketing tips for breweries. If you're a restaurant and you're online today, or really any small business that's being affected during this pandemic, hopefully this information is valuable to you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Devon.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, everybody who is joining us today. To answer Melinda's question, I would see myself as a brewery enthusiast. But I do want to thank you all for joining us, and I wish the circumstances were different. Obviously, this isn't a great time for on-premise establishments, breweries, restaurants, bars, just given the restrictions and need to be off-premise. But we have discussed internally, and we've seen what people have been doing that's been working, and we wanted to kind of share what we saw, but also some things to really keep in mind that can help you during this time. But just as importantly as efforts right now is planning for down the road, when you can open back up and you can have people visiting you again. And so, virtually, welcome into my home. Like we said, Thirsty Thursdays, we want to be just a little bit more, relaxed, have some fun with it. So I did plan to bring beer for everybody in attendance, and then I realized the whole virtual thing, so I don't have a way to get these to you, so I'll drink them. So I'm set. So please do me a favor, grab your own, and we'll have some fun. We'll talk about some cool things that you can do to really engage with your customer. That'll hopefully be beneficial. And please, at any point, ask questions. If they're not being answered in real time, I'm happy to answer them. And if it's something in the moment that I can't, I'll for surely circle back and provide an answer. Additionally, we are recording this, and so we'll be able to share it with you. So if there's something we said and and you wanted to reference back to it, there's something we can definitely provide to you. And so what we kind of put together is 5 tips, 5 initial things to keep in mind and to kind of help in planning what you're dealing with right now and in the coming weeks. And I would look at these broken into 3 categories. And what it is the first one being, today's opportunity today, which is really the most important. If you have the ability to still continue your business, but just providing that off-premise consumption. So if you're bottling, if you're canning, if you're filling growlers and crowlers, if you've got a kitchen and you're able to do food to go, if you're doing the to go, the curbside pickup or delivery, the most important thing right now is what you can do to really optimize business right now. And that's very important. some people, they don't have the, they don't have a kitchen, they don't have cans, they don't have bottles. Perhaps, you don't have growlers or crowlers. I'll give an example of someone I visited their brewery just this past weekend, and they ran out of growlers. So someone ran and got them mason jars, and they were, if you didn't have your own growler to fill, they were filling mason jars, to go. So it was very, it was more 1920s than 2020. But if you have the ability, or if you don't have the ability to do the to go, then what can you do now that's going to benefit you in the long run, be good from an engagement standpoint with your fans and your customers now, but then also, provide a benefit when you can have people come visit you again. And then the third one is kind of the reverse side of that, how they can, engage back with you through, what you're creating, they create. Type of thing. So you can see those 5 recommendations that we have here. And so to kind of get into them, the first one, which is again for that today's business today, would be the update your information across all platforms. And so when I say that, I'm talking about how has this situation changed, your hours. Obviously, your approach is different because people can't come in and consume on premise. So, are they, have you changed your hours? And so, what you're going to want to do is make sure you're communicating that not just on your Facebook, which is where we've seen a lot of it, but also on your Google, your website, and actually inside of your Facebook account. So I'll give you an example. Like I said, I stopped this past weekend at a brewery to grab some growlers. During this time, I still really want to support as best as I can. So I'll look for places to get to go and to get growlers and crowlers. And the 2 that I had found that I wanted to visit, I checked their Google, their website, and their Facebook. And actually, all 3 of them were giving me different hours. And when I actually scrolled through to find a post on Facebook about their to go service, it was different than what the other one saw. So, what you do want to make sure is that you are updating, what your revised availability is. And so if you've got, let's say you've got lunch to go and obviously crowlers, but instead of being open 11 a.m. to midnight, you're only open 11 to 5. You can go into Google, you can update that, and you can change your business profile right in, or your business description right in Google to say currently offering to go food and to go orders, call ahead. I've seen some, they're not offering, you can't go in, and there's no exchange of currency or card, so you place all your orders ahead of time and then you just pick it up. And just being able to communicate that is a huge benefit. I have seen some, and it's been, great to see, they have pop-ups on their website. So when you go, it's like, hey, here's updated information of where we are right now. Or if the pop-up's not there, there's an updated banner, or there's a header bar at the top, and it just says, in response to COVID-19, we are, and kind of puts, what it is that they're working on in there. And so being able to have that consistent information across all these different channels and platforms really provides that those who are willing to come visit you, even if it's just through a window or a curb, are finding out exactly when you're going to be available, exactly what products are available, and really kind of streamlining that process for them. And again, that benefit is because that's business today, and the same can be said, we're talking to go product, we're talking to go food, and also on the merchandise side, be it gift cards, hoodies, hats, koozies, bottle openers, whatever it may be. If that's not, if you don't have a restaurant, if you don't have a crowler filler, if you don't have the ability to do that, and we've seen some breweries have just said, listen, we're closing. We are going to close during this time, but production might continue. They're still there, but they don't have the ability to serve a pint, so their doors are locked. So the question is, all right, and this is where we kind of move on to that second category of how do we utilize this time and not slip through the cracks? How do we keep people engaged, keep them thinking about us? Instead of having our product in their hand, how do we keep our brand in their mind? And that's where we go, and you see here, create in-house content. Use this time to get as much information about yourself out there, because I promise you, people are sitting at home looking for things to do. You have a captivated audience right now. I have to believe people's houses are as clean as they've ever been right now. 10 days ago, this wall was blue, and everything that you see back there, I've done in 10 days because I needed to fill my time. I'm just kidding, but it really is like people are constantly looking at video, at photography, at stories, at blogs, Netflix, Amazon, whatever it may be, looking for things because they can't really leave their house right now. And so give them that. If you follow YouTube, if you have channels that you follow, a lot of content creators on YouTube are used to a set schedule. Maybe it's every Friday they put a video out, or every other Wednesday, or the first Monday. It all kind of varies. Well, a lot of that's, throw that out the window. They're creating as much as they can right now because there's so much audience looking for content to consume. If they can't consume your product, they want to consume your content. And so what I would say is, based on your unique brand, brewery, restaurant, is it the beer? Is it the building? Is it the food? Is it the atmosphere? If 3 months ago I said, what makes you different? What is going to get someone in your door? That is your content. All right. I want to say, take that and maybe create a video series around it. If you're still brewing, tease out, listen, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a video and we're going to start a series where we're going to walk you through our brewing process. And you create multiple, let's say 10, 15-minute videos where your brewer, your brewmaster, your owner, whomever it is going to walk through the process, and your fans, your customers, the people who do love your product, they're going to say, okay, I'm going to prep. I got to make a mental note, 6 p.m. I'm going to watch that. But then they might share it, they might comment it, they like it, and now, maybe myself, I might not follow, and I see that pop up. I'll say, oh, I'm going to watch a 10-minute video of how this place brews, or however that process is. If you've got a tour, walk them through your tour. Or let's say, your food is your hook. People really, really love your food. Kind of say, well, listen, if you can we've got the to-go options available, but maybe if you can't, here's an at-home recipe you can try. You're not going to dethrone our famous panini, but we'll walk you through this one. You can see what you can do. You're creating this content that keeps you top of mind, keeps them excited for the opportunity to come visit you again, but also gives you the ability to create content that you can utilize down the road when all this is kind of behind us. And so 6, 10 months from now, when things are back to normal for you, as I hope, you can say, oh, listen, if you want to see our tour, we actually filmed it once upon a time. And it creates, this ability to keep these people engaged. Because like I said, they're looking for the ability to view or experience something rather than just sit at home or watch, another show on TV. But that's kind of then what's actually going to pass, like you see here, create in-house content. It's a two-way road where you're creating something for them to consume. Well, that gets them itching that they want to do the same. And so it brings us to this third one of request user-generated content. So what can someone sitting at home do now that's going to give them some excitement, give them something to do, but also, be a tool for you from an awareness and an engagement standpoint. It's interesting. It's tough for us on this call, and obviously in the circumstance that you're all in, to believe this, but I've talked to bartenders who have people that still, they'll walk in, they'll sit at the bar, and they'll say, I'll get a beer. And when it's like, okay, do you want a growler or a crowler? They're like, no, I'll have a pint. It's like, well, no, sorry, we can't serve you right now. And they'll be like, why? And so there's people who actually, aren't aware that this this situation is happening with these restrictions for off premise. And so you have the ability to kind of educate some of the public, but showcase what people are doing. So what would user generated content be? So you could say, hey, I want to see, we want to see a photo or a video of how you're handling your quarantine, or how our brand is playing in the mix. How are we helping you through quarantine? And try and see what people come up with. This is kind of shades of old Super Bowl campaigns, but maybe you ask people to make you a commercial. Get everybody in their house together and come up with a plan and a script, and they can film their own commercial, and they kind of submit it to you through social media, and you say, listen, when we are able to open our doors back up for you to come in here, we're going to use our winning commercial to do some social media advertisement for us. Or another one that kind of just came to mind is, use things in your house, arrange them to make our logo as closely as you can, just using, household material, and we'll have this kind of competition. And it's ways for them to get off the couch, do something that's, sort of like a game night. It's a little engaging. It's a little like, um, enjoyable, but it's creating. They're going to post it, and then people are going to say, okay, what's happening on this page? I want to check this out. I want to understand it. And again, it might not create that opportunity today, but if I see a lot of that, I'm as well, this is a lot of fun. The minute I can, I'm going to go there. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to make sure I try one of their products. And so, it really creates that ability that now you're creating stuff for them, they're creating stuff for you. But again, it all circles back to keeping you top of mind and keeping your customers and your future customers engaged. Um, and then that kind of takes into everything we're talking about here is about utilizing online. And that's where we are right now, because there isn't this ability. We're talking about social distancing, we're talking about off premise, people are in their homes. So what do we need to do? We need to embrace virtual. We need to, just like we're all here in my office enjoying a beer together, but also very far apart, um, we need to utilize tools that virtual provides to kind of keep that excitement, that awareness, and that information moving forward around your product, your brand, your business. And so you can see we kind of have two sub bullets here. And the first one is, what did people like coming to visit you for? Obviously the beer, and hopefully they still can. But what else? What was the next thing? What was the experience side of it? And so that's why we say continue, or if you weren't doing them, start weekly events. I've been to places that, Monday was music bingo, Tuesday was trivia, Wednesday was acoustic, and Thursday was Thirsty Thursday. So it might have been 2 for 1. That one necessarily, you can say, hey, have two in the time you'd normally have one virtually, and I guess that's a 2 for 1. But when you think of the rest of them, there are tools and there are ways to continue doing that. And I know you've probably seen virtual happy hours, um, virtual tastings. For me locally, where I am in Utica, there's a restaurant that's putting on this weekend a 5-course meal utilizing 5 different chefs virtually. And so you order it, you go, you have a 90-minute window to pick up these meals, and then you come back and you go on virtual, and the chefs are going to walk through each course. And so there's ways that you can still have the experiences and do the things that you like to do as as a customer, virtually. So as an example, like right now we're all on GoToWebinar, which is a beneficial virtual tool. But you've probably seen Zoom is another one. Well, let's say you did a trivia night and you've got 30 people, so 6 groups of 5 that all liked coming together and doing trivia with you every Tuesday night. You can utilize Zoom and keep doing trivia, because inside of it, people can split into subgroups. So my team, the Devons, that's a good name, they can still get together, me and my friends, blocks or miles or zip codes apart, and we can still try to crush trivia. I'm going to say it's going to be much harder to monitor people using their phones, um, but you can still utilize tools to have these experiences that people are accustomed to with you, so that when this is all behind us, they're going to even have more of an appreciation for you. They're going to remember, oh man, I was getting all cooped up, and trivia was great, and and I carried and I picked up crowlers where I could. And so you can continue those events. Let's say you did have music, and you've probably seen it where acoustic sets and bands, they're doing live streams. So if had a schedule, or usually had the same musician in your bar, your tap room, ask them if they want to take over your Facebook for a night, and they can do their own live set. And at the very least, if I could put something on here and sit here and watch it on this TV, it's a nice break from watching the next season of a show I've probably already seen. And then that is how you kind of get into the other areas of virtual. So like, where can you create that excitement? And so we had seen, which was a unique idea. They had done pairings with Netflix. So if I'm going to sit on the couch, I'm going to watch it, I want to have a little bit of fun with it. And so it was, which product is going to go well with what you're watching on Netflix. So let's say you've got a dark beer that's going to go really well with Marty Bird and Ozark. Or if you've got a beer that's got a little bit of a bite to it, a little tang, a little bit of a bite, I'm going to watch that with the Tiger King show, and it's just something where, now they're going to be able to post, on social, and mention and recognize your brand because of this, excitement that's been created, or something new. Just, it's their current norm, but with that little, that little something extra that's going to make it a little bit more fun for them. And then that's how we kind of get into where you can incentivize that engagement, and give them a reason, beyond the fun that they're going to have with it, to sign on. So I look again at something like a trivia. I've seen it where the winning team gets a pitcher. So let's say you do trivia, and that's how you've operated, or let's say you haven't, but now's the time to start that. There's no reason to say that you can't still say the winning team gets a pitcher, but instead, let's say these restrictions last another 6 weeks or so. It's going to be, listen, our winning teams over the next 6 weeks, when we can open back up again, there's going to be a pitcher waiting for you and your team here in our bar. Maybe if there's one really good team, there's going to be 6 pitchers waiting for them. But there's that ability where, there isn't that business today, but there's that excitement, there's that engagement, there's that buildup. And then down the road, now they haven't forgotten you. You haven't slipped through the cracks. You've stayed top of mind, and you've kind of created the ability for them to be excited, and and to have fun during otherwise unideal times. And then that kind of brings us into this last one, which is start a movement. And there's kind of 2 sides of this. There's a local supporting local movement, which I think we've seen. There's been a big pickup of it. Like I said, I try every week to look at breweries that I either haven't been to, or it's been some time since I've been there, to try and make a run to grab a growler or crowler to kind of show some support. And I think that that's a compiling effort. So the more people try it, the more it continues to build up, and it's recognized and it's showcased. But another side of that is really like in almost a social movement, a challenge in that quest for viral marketing. We've seen during this time challenges that have popped up on, Facebook and Instagram stories where you have to, you have to do an action and then pass it off to some friends. So I know that there's been a big one. You do 10 push-ups, give 10 push-ups. We'll put the fitness ones to the side, and we'll focus on the beverage and the beer ones. And so one of the ones we saw was sip sip pass. And so I'll take a sip, and I'll take a sip. It's because it's twice. And then I'll film myself doing it, and then I'll tag 10 friends, and I'll say it's your turn. And so you can kind of build it out from there. Another one that I saw was pint and putt, or pint and punt. And so I'm gonna drink a pint, and I'll film myself drinking a pint, and then I'm gonna push it to the next person. It's their responsibility too. And my trick is when I'm going to do that, I'll also tag the brewery of the beer that I'm having, and it gets then, you have the ability to share it as well, and it actually compiles up this list where you've got content, you got user generated content, and you started a movement while embracing virtual. Look at that. And so I'll actually, I'll live by example. So when we get this wrapped up, I'm gonna, on my own account, I'm gonna drink down a can, and I'm gonna share it, and I'm gonna look through who's attended with us here today and pick some of you, and I'm gonna tag you, and I'm gonna ask you to do the same, and we'll just kind of get it started right here as a point one. So so there's cool ways that you can kind of create, excitement, awareness, and urgency now, and keep your brand, your story, and your name in people's minds, and they're going to appreciate that down the road, because it's going to help them from doing the same rinse and repeat activity that they're doing every night, that when they can come through your doors, sit down, be split a beer, and actually drink it, they're going to take the opportunity to do that. So we do have a few minutes left here. I don't know, Melinda, if there was any questions that came in. I will do this in the meantime.
Yeah, not so many questions, but I think internally we have been talking about the start a movement, and I think it's really important too to say that we're all kind of banding together. So even if you're trying to start it within your own brewery or restaurant or winery, it's always good too to kind of go back to your association. And I think that's important, to where you're all one group. So whether you're a material handling association, or like I said, a restaurant or a winery or a brewery, and you're a part of that association, you can, as a brewery, tag another brewery and start that, sip sip pass or pint and punt, or however you would like to do it with your fellow community members, if you will. So like Devon said, we're seeing a lot of local outreach for support local, but I think that there's also opportunity to support fellow association members as well.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And people, I'll say, when it comes to beers they're having, they love collaboration beers. So again, in going with Embrace Virtual, you can do virtual collaboration too. So
yes. All right. Well, it's been great having all of you here today. Again, thank you for joining us for Thirsty Thursday. We will put some more information out there and continue to share what we're seeing in the industry as far as marketing, and hope that this works for you. And we would love to hear your feedback as well. Anything that you would like to see covered in some future webinars, or anything that you have tried that, maybe is successful, or, maybe that you say, I tried this, it really wasn't successful. Do you guys have any tips or advice that could maybe help it to become a little bit more successful? So please reach out to Devon or myself, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions that you guys may have. So thank you again for joining us.
yep, thanks everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.